Age of Empires Definitive Edition. Should you buy it for a third time? I hope I can help with that decision. And in short, yeah, I think you should. As long as you've got a good enough computer to run it. I came around this recommendation over time as I played the game more and more. And I'm gonna admit, when I first checked it out for the first hour after I bought it, I was sorely tempted to try arrange for a refund. It's the first time I've ever considered a refund on a game from Steam, and I almost clicked it. So back to the original question, now that we're in the third iteration of Age of Empires 2, with AoE 2 first released in 1999 and the HD edition from 2013, do you really need to buy this game a third time? And like I said at the start of the video, yeah, I think it's a good buy. Initially I had some gripes is a strong word, but maybe I could say I expected different things from the game. The first thing that really bothered me was the loading times, and that's why I mentioned it's a good buy if you have a good enough PC. I initially had this game just on my normal hard drive, and these days, well, really any computer that you play either the vanilla version of Age of Empires or the HD edition, the loading times, they're practically non-existent. So to my surprise, and in some ways horror, to wait for even just the intro to the main menu to starting games, it was such a turn off that made me wish I was playing other versions of the game. However, I've since moved the game to my solid state drive, and the loading times are much better. This game isn't what you would call lightweight either, coming in around about 30 to 40 gigabytes, and that's after you installed updated graphics pack. The HD edition, it was only about 4 gigs, and the original Age of Empires 2 edition, I mean, that's only like 300 megabytes, a measly 300 megabytes. So that was the first thing that annoyed me, and the second thing, when I first booted up the game and got in, I found the overall graphics ugly, full of glare. This fog overlay, it's horrible. I don't know what the rationale of it is. It makes the game look completely washed out in a light grey filter, which I just don't like. So my first tip is turn that off, and for good measure, turn off all these extra options as well. Also, I found I needed to drop the gamma just a bit as well. I don't really know how to describe it, but I found the original textures of the previous editions, the images, the best way I could describe it, just pop slightly more. But it might be just that I'm still adjusting to the new graphics, and I've got a nostalgic hook which prefers me to the old graphics. And the opening theme, the music for the opening theme, it almost seems like they've subverted the main riff slightly. Just small details, and it annoys me just enough. But I did manage to find a good fix to that. So, well, I've criticized the game a lot. So why on earth would I say that, yeah, you should buy this game for a third time? Well, going forward, it is likely that, well, not just likely, it is that Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition will be the best version of Age of Empires 2. To start off with, just talking about Age of Empires 2 in general, one of the best things about this game is how universal it is. I've met people internationally from France, Germany, Argentina, here in New Zealand, and people have either played this game or know it in some shape or form. I've literally had people come from all over the world. I've met them, and we played Age of Empires 2 and we bonded over this game. It's crazy, it's amazing to make friendships from this staple game of PC gaming. For me, I discovered about 7 years ago just how vibrant and devoted the Age of Empires 2 community is. I was shocked and amazed by this. The Age of Empires 2 community has been there since the very beginning of 1999 and has continued, and if anything, it is growing, with old players rediscovering the game and new players seeing it for the very first time. So let's talk about features and new things you can experience in this edition. First out of the bat, one thing I like is the Art of War section, which basically serves as an introduction to the metagame for multiplayer. With the game being over 20 years old now, the major strategies and macro builds have largely been figured out. This is a welcome addition and serves as a really good practice, as well as a good way to get started for online play. I myself, I find the 1v1 ranked games particularly stressful. I prefer the company of having teammates, so I've enjoyed playing 3v3 and 4v4 online. The server-side hosting makes this game in multiplayer a lot better. The old games were hounded in large team games with either lag or desyncs, which quite often happened, but the new multiplayer network code in this edition, the server-side hosting, seems to mitigate these issues a lot, which is great. The player base seems large enough as well that creating a game, it quickly fills up with other players in a few short minutes. The only one thing at the moment is when there's quite a lot of units on screen, the frame rates do take a serious hit and it becomes more of a slideshow at late game. There's also quite a few ease of life changes, which I think is a positive change for the game, such as shift queuing commands are now much more comprehensive. You can shift queue workers on the sheep so they take them one at a time in order. You can click a button so the farms now reseed by themselves. You can also queue up technologies at various buildings such as the blacksmith, and you can see the worker counts on each resource in the top left. I think these ease of life mechanics really add to the game rather than take from it. I think when I go back and I played original HD edition, I would have trouble knowing how many villages I have on each resource without having that information there. Even small things. The game will also show you what you can afford, what you can't afford, how much resources left or amount of food is remaining in the sheep, with a handy highlight just above them. These ease of life changes, they're great. Here, all these ease of life changes, it's actually seen as something that can just be solved, that instead of focusing on somebody's APM and distracting them, it means people can focus more on the strategy of the game. That's good, that's great. As I started to play the game more, I started to enjoy this edition immensely more. I do find myself wanting to play it more, to get better. Before I knew it, I already sunk 10 hours into the game and probably will sink even more. Okay, let's talk about mods, because I am using a few. The current mods that I'm using, the original AOE2 music, the music is just so nostalgic for me and gets me right in the mood. The new music, like I mentioned before, just doesn't hit the same tones and feels for me. I've also installed this snazzy nighttime menu intro screen. It looks wonderful. And it fits in with the dark mode setting that all apps are starting to get into. Thank goodness for our eyeballs. Dark mode has been a technological advance of the late 2010s. And for a long time I've resisted the small trees mod. I do like to respect the original artists on how the game should look and be played, but it is annoying to have buildings behind trees or to try click behind there. So I have succumbed and started to use it, and it's a lot easier. I've also tried the UI mod that shows your tech trees, and I really like the concept of it, but I think it obscures the Q bars just a touch too much, but I can see the benefit of it. In fact, just to talk about mods a bit more, if anything, that's got to be one of the best things about the Definitive Edition. To install the mods, it's extremely easy. All you have to do is go to the mods menu, organize either by likes or most subscribed. I find that's the easiest way. Hit subscribe and then just restart your game, and it's done, it's dusted. You now have the mod installed. I've also recently discovered this mod on build orders, which explains and shows you how to do common builds and actually talks to you to make sure that you're on track. And as I was recording this video, I thought to myself, there's got to be a website for, so I'm running with two screens, with dual screens. Maybe there's a website which I could use to look at the technology tree for certain civilizations, and lo and behold, a Google search, and here it is. I definitely think if you can convince some other people, some friends, to play this game with you, you'll get motivated to try and get better and better, because I've definitely found that with myself. But if not, the AI actually really works as a good challenge to practice either booming or defending from rushes. And from what I understand, they've improved and made the AI a lot smarter than the previous versions, and they no longer cheat. There is a ton of value and replayability to be had in this game. The amount of campaigns that this game now has that you can sink your teeth into, in fact, in some ways it's ridiculous. There's so many campaigns that it's even hard to choose. Well, I found it hard to even choose one to try and go for. But easily what you can see here is that there's many hours of content. And if this game was one game that you had to play, like you only had this one game installed on your computer and you could only play this one, you could easily spend countless hours just playing single player campaigns, or even countless hours just playing against AI, or just playing multiplayer. So overall, just back to that original question, like, should you buy this game? I'm gonna say yes. There's a bunch of features in this edition that makes it worthwhile to upgrade. It actually feels like a decent upgrade. I mean, there's still just little things which I'm discovering. Even like in multiplayer, when you're in a current lobby, you can look at other lobbies. It just makes things easier. There's now hotkeys that can select all your idle villages at once, all your military units at once, or even select all your military buildings at the same time, and it just makes the game that much easier to play, so you can focus on the strategy. And I'm sure that there's other features which I've still yet to discover. This edition has really revitalized the game and made it much more interesting, because like I said, when I initially saw it and when I initially played it and how it was presented, I was initially just thinking I'm going to have the definitive edition on standby and really just play the original and HD edition dominantly. However, no, I don't think that will be the case now. But I will put that caveat there that you do want to have this game on the solid state drive. It'll just make it a little bit more enjoyable. And I suppose one good thing about Age of Empires 2 these days, you can always use the old version. If in say you want to have and stick it on your thumb drive so you can play anywhere you want on any sort of computer you want. So hold on to the old version. The Forgotten Empires update to the vanilla Age of Empires still works great. But now to have the best experience of Age of Empires 2, then the definitive edition is for you. And I can only see this game becoming more and more popular as time goes on. Thank you for watching.